Assalamu alaikum. Shalawama. Islam to all the Moors. All right, y'all, let's get back into it. We are on chapter 10. Chapter 10. Okay, Roman numeral X. 10 is 9. All right. So give me 1 second. I'll get my book out. Sorry about that. All right. So our textbook continues to be The Celestial Ship of the North by Emma Valencia Straighton. And we're on page 100. And oh, by the way, I did a video over on YouTube. This is, I think this video is number 13. So number 12 is on Zion Law School on YouTube. Y'all should really watch that. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, go over and subscribe. And for those of you who are on YouTube, you need to come over to Rumble so that you can watch this video. All right. So here we are, y'all. Page 150. Is it 57? Hold on. Where do I want to start? All right, I want to start. I want to pick up on page 155. Page one. Well, actually, if I pick up on page 155, I need to. Let's pick up on the last paragraph of page 154, y'all. Hold on. All right. Let me see if this is streaming to YouTube. Give me 1 second. I think maybe we've had some success with this streaming to YouTube. Every other time I've tried to stream from, so I didn't get a notification. But every other time I've tried to stream from Rumble over on YouTube, it fails. So let's see what's happening. Oh, is it working? So I didn't get a notification. Mic check, mic check. Oh, I'm shocked. It's streaming on YouTube. All right, y'all, let's make it do what it do. Page 154, 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 4 is 10. 10, of course, is 9. 9 is 6 inverted. So we have 6, 9. We're dealing with the Hermetic law of gender. And 6 means a perfect man. 9 has its own meaning. So a 6 is also the male genital, and the 9 is the no, I shouldn't say male, the masculine genital, and the 9 is the womb and the vaginal canal. Y'all see it? All right, and 9 is always superior. So when you look at this celestially, 9 is Eve, the celestial Eve, which is the thigh of the Great Bear, the Big Dipper, they call it today. And Adam would be the lesser bear, or Ursa Minor, because the feminine is always preeminent. Why? Because the mother gives birth, transformation, the mother of time, etc., etc. Watch all the videos; you'll get more on that. Also, look into C.M. Bay's work, Clock of Destiny. You'll learn why 10 is 9. All right. But anyway, let's make it do what it do. Last paragraph, page 154. I-U am hept. Hept means peace, plenty. Plenty was the peace bringer. Okay. So I-U am hept. Hept means peace. Plenty was the peace bringer. And Neferhept, Neph breath, isn't that interesting? Neph breath was the breather of peace. The breather of peace. A male female dual nature runs through all ancient myths. Did y'all hear that? So we as autochthonous men and women, we would not say a male and female dual nature. If it applies to us, we would say masculine and feminine dual nature applies to autochthonous men and women. And then, of course, the animals are male and female. Okay, y'all? But anyway, let's continue. Bacchus and Horus were bisexual. So now you can see the perverted and the degraded mindset of the hybrids. They took that celestial, that hermetic principle of gender and made it into something sexual. All right. Bacchus, of course, is the sun god, and Horus, of course, is the sun god. We're both bisexual. That means that they like to have sex with men and women. Okay. That ought to open your eyes a little bit to what's going on now. Actually, y'all, do y'all realize that um, around the world, almost everywhere around the world, but especially from what I can see on YouTube, what's happening in North America or in the Americas, it's Bacchus or Bacchanalia, where people are doing all kinds of things that are focused solely on pleasure and violence, pleasure and violence, pleasure and violence, pleasure and violence. Okay, that's actually a form of religious worship, even though y'all don't know it. So you hear these relationship coaches, you see all of this stuff going on YouTube, people advising, recommending that you manage your romantic relationships like you manage a business. It's the most outrageous and ridiculous thing, but but that's being pushed by people who want to genocide you out. People who want to genocide you out. So that when someone or when they or their agents harm your woman or whoever is close to you, your heir, whatever, you don't feel the instinctive urge to defend. Y'all hear me? So, for example, you go out in the go out and mess with a cat's litter. See what that cat does to you, okay? Or a raccoon. See what that raccoon does to you. That raccoon will attack if you approach their young. The cat will attack and fight to the death. No questions asked. But see, they want to take that away from you, make you into a farm animal. A farm animal where they can just come into the barn and take your youngin, your heir, and just take it and you ain't gonna do nothing. All right. But anyway, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. So Bacchus and Horus were bisexual. And y'all know that there is no freedom in lawlessness. And there is even a Greek statue representing Saint Sophia, the Christ, as a bearded female. As a bearded female, okay? So this is pretty clear as to who these beings are that are being referenced here, right, y'all? It's pretty clear who they are. IUM Hept reappears in the Hebrew writings as Ecclesiastica, the preacher. The apocryphal book of Ecclesiastica is called, quote unquote, the wisdom of Jesus, son of listen, y'all, son of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, end quote. The prologue of the book admits it to be a work brought out of Egypt. Did y'all hear that? A work brought out of Egypt. The wisdom of Jesus, son of Sirach, is a work brought out of Egypt. They admit that. In the Hebrew collection, the preacher is identified with Jesus. Ayu Imhept wore the long garment typical of a female gown, hence the clergy wearing its gown, or the magistrate or the judge wearing a gown. All right, it's tranny in origin. This is what it's telling us. Let me say it again. Imhotep wore the long garment typical of a female gown, just as the Jewish high priest and the Roman popes do. All right. So, you Christians and you Hebrew, well, I don't know about the Hebrew Israelites, but definitely you Christians, y'all out here wearing garb reminiscent of the Catholic Church's costumes. All right, y'all, which is tranny. In the Book of the Dead, Imhotep, wearing the long robe, is addressed as follows: Hail to the coming. Okay, y'all? Hail to the coming one. Hail to the coming, approaching in peace, whose garment was that in which the whole world. Okay, this is chapter 18, 24. Okay, I'm sorry, let me repeat that. In the book of Solomon, chapter 18, looks like verse 24 says this, quote unquote, for in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows of stone was the glory of the Father's graven. So you can see where that verse comes from, right? You can see the similarity right there. They just lifted it and changed it up a little bit, okay? So usually when you go through this material, scholars, it won't be an exact match. Sometimes it'll be an exact match, but usually it's not going to be a perfect, precise, exact match, okay? That will kind of defeat the purpose of hiding it, right? Okay. So the name of the mystical Solomon signifies peace. So here we have it again, peace, right? I am Hep. Hep means peace. Plenty was the peace bringer. Okay. So again, Solomon signifies peace. Sol. So that it was made of 3 radicals. Sol, Om, On. Represents 3 names of the Eschuan sun in different languages. And that's a trick that they commonly use. They'll take a radical uh, from from 2 languages, 3 languages, it might even be 4 languages. And unless you have a dictionary and some knowledge about their technique, you would never find it out. So you would need a dictionary to give you the meaning of sol in Latin, Om, and On. Okay, so let me read this for you, and it'll give you more information about that. All right. So Solomon signifies peace, Sol, Om, On, represents 3 names of the Eschuan sun in different languages. Okay, so the languages are, if I remember, Sol, of course, is Latin. Is, I think it's Hindu or one of those, you know, one of those languages, probably Hindu, I think. Don't quote me on it, but and then On, the Kemetic language. All right, all right. So Iu Imhap Was the Egyptian Jesus? Was the Egyptian Jesus? So that means that the Hebrew, the Hebrew Jesus is a remix of the Egyptian Jesus. That's the point here. Okay, guys. Um, so Imhotep was the Egyptian Jesus, known as the quote unquote the eternal word, and the Hebrew Jesus is known as the Word in the Gospel John. Right, in the beginning was the Word. All right. But the Egyptian Jesus is called the eternal word. So in the Hebrew, in John rather, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So it implies eternity. All right, y'all. So let's continue. All right. So he's called the Ayu Imhep is the eternal word in the book of the dead. Iu, the letter I, the letter U, Iu, the root word means to come. Keep that in mind. To come. The ever coming one. He who comes with peace. Now, if you know anything about the grammar of the Tetragrammaton, so if y'all want to know about the grammar associated with the Tetragrammaton, you should buy my book 101 Phoenician Hebrew. It's a brown book, 101 Phoenician Hebrew. You can get it on Amazon. Don't buy it on my website because I'm still locked out. I haven't gotten the energy up to try to fix it. I've had so much trouble with it. But anyway, you, as I've discussed in other, I don't know if I should call this a lecture, class, or a video. As I've discussed previously, U is O. U is O. O is symbolic of the universe. Okay, y'all? O is symbolic of the universe. So it is the boundary around which our ancestors drew around that which is boundless to create time. Okay? Circle 7 in the north and clock of destiny in the north and south celestial pole. All right, y'all? So he continues here. Y'all keep that in mind because this is really good information. All right. So Iu, the root word means to come. Now go back to the Tetragrammaton. You can look at uh, its structure and the grammar associated with it. I don't remember the page where I have a chart uh, in Phoenician Hebrew 101, and it gives you the literal meaning of the Tetragrammaton and also of Ahaya. So what does it have to do with what we're talking about right now? So if he's coming, that means he'll never come. Because why? He's always coming. That's future. He's never here. He's always coming. Like for example, somebody making empty promises, right? They promise, but they never follow through. The forever coming one. Now, that's in the dogmatic religious sense of the concept. But in the astrological sense of the concept, or we can even say the natural phenomena sense of this concept, the ever coming one is the one who comes, expires, is reproduced, regenerated. Because why? Consciousness is eternal. Okay? So only the physical body gets recycled. Okay, y'all? So he's always coming back, always being resurrected, always coming back. He's always coming. He comes, expires, and then he comes back. Expires, and then he comes back. What is this? The life cycle. So in the solar zodiac, where we would be looking at the Vernal equinox, the spring equinox, the beginning of the new year for the Solarites. March 21, March 22. So today would be the new year, right, y'all? If you're in North America, if you're in the Maghreb. Everybody see? Okay, so in the spring, the plants are coming back to life. In the winter, they were frozen. They were frozen, right? Now in the spring, they are regenerating, becoming green. Hence the green star on the Moroccan Empire flag. Hence the color green for Venus. I'm tracing back to the Sabian or the circumpolar zodiac Sabian time, okay, not solar stuff, okay? Um, so everything is regrowing, rebirth. So we move to the summer solstice. Now we're at the summer solstice. The vegetation, animals and whatnot, everything's awake. Everything has turned green again. It's maturing. It's maturing. And then after the summer solstice, June 22nd, everything has matured. We go into July. The SUN sun rays are so intense that they are at the most intense. Uh, they are most intense in July. This is Judah or Leo, the lion of the tribe of Judah. So all of that, those sun rays fecundate the soil, meaning that all of that solar energy causes the soil to become super uh, proliferative. Yeah. All right. So, for example, if you are, let's say you got a girlfriend or a wife and y'all knocking boots and, and it's like her last period was like 21 days ago. Oh, she might, that's super risky, right, y'all? She's very, very, very likely to get pregnant, okay? Compared to if you're knocking boots a couple days, 2, 3 days after her period, right? Or anytime within, let's say within 7 days, within 9 days after her period, she ain't gonna get pregnant. All right, but you talking about 21 days, 15 days, 16? Oh my gosh! All right, so it's the same concept. All right, so now all of that solar energy gets absorbed into the soil, gets taken up by the plants, and that intense energy, that superabundance of solar energy, causes the plants to transition from mature to ripe. So ripens all the vegetation and all the fruit. Okay. Now after that, everything is going to begin to decline. Okay, you go into fall, late fall, whatever fruit that hasn't uh, been picked, taken off of the tree, it's gonna fall on the ground. Even some fruit might be still not ripe. It's going to start falling to the ground. The leaves start falling to the ground. Okay, because the temperature and the amount of sunlight gets decreased. So the leaves and the vegetation, they begin to die. Right? So this is the life cycle. Birth, maturity, right? Or birth, growth and development, maturity, and then the decline. The decline. Okay, and then when we get in winter, all of that vegetation is on the ground and it gets broken down, decomposes. Okay, it decomposes and all the nutrients go back into the soil, get absorbed in the soil, and then it's frozen during winter. And then during the spring, when the thaws come, well, the plants have nutrients now. That they can absorb those nutrients and the life cycle starts all over again. All right, y'all. So this is the coming one, always coming back. We don't die, we multiply. And uh, like the author here, Emma Valencia Stratton, says earlier in this book, that the autochthonous Moors, the Sabian Moors, the ancient Kemites, Hamites, etc., 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 they knew they were coming back, right? They knew they were coming back. Life is a cycle. Consciousness is eternal. It wasn't this thing where you die and go to heaven, or you die and go to hell, or you die and that's it. Okay, those are religious, dogmatic religious uh, beliefs. Okay, period. It's not real. Okay, so anyway, so let's continue. Next paragraph. The only satisfactory etymological designation for a people like the Hebrews must be derived from a religion that had its rootage in mythology. And this is coming from Gerald Macy. So the mythology would be, y'all, coming out of Egypt with I am with IUM Hept, the Egyptian Jesus, right? And also what else? Also the Sut, the Sut, Sut becomes deified into Savic Cronus. So that's also Jesus. And if I remember correctly, y'all, Cassiopeia, is it Cassiopeia the one? Yeah, she's a image sitting in the north celestial pole region with her son. Let me see if I can find that. I remember we went. I did this before. Hold on. Let me see if we're still live on YouTube. But every other time I've tried to stream from Rumble. Okay, mic check. Oh, it looks like. Let me see. Mic check. Mic check. Let's see. Next paragraph. Mic check. Mic check. The only satisfactory etymological designation for a people like the Hebrews. Yeah, we're still. I'm surprised. All right. So whatever the problem is, it must be solved, y'all. So we are in business. I'm so happy to get over that hump because I'm so sick of YouTube. So let me see if I can find Cassiopeia and her son. See, it's Cassiopeia and her daughter, and well, without me going into that, just give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, and now here come the games. No. Oh, all right, all right. So it pulled up. Hold on. 1 second, y'all. Let me see if I can get an image for y'all. I have to find my book where it shows her. So this is Cassiopeia. You see, it looks like Virgo, right? She's got the stalk of corn in her hand. She's sitting on the throne. Okay, y'all. Hold on. So this is Cassiopeia. Let me show you another image. But this one doesn't have the stalk. All right, y'all. So it should be clear that this is just a remix, right? Cassiopeia is in the north celestial pole region. All right. So Virgo is in the solar. Y'all take a look. It's just a remix. So Virgo in the solar is a remix of Cassiopeia, in my opinion. It's quite obvious, right? Because Virgo is the great mother typhoon. Also, let me see if I can find the image that I'm really looking for. Cassiopeia. I know my memory is not failing me. Hold on. Hmm. Ah, here we are. Here we are, y'all, but it's hard to find. Y'all see that? That's Cassiopeia and her son. Same as Mary as her son, right? Mary, the Virgin Mary and her son. So let me see if I can find another image. Let me take a picture. This is hard to find. I have it in some old astrotheology books. How about this, y'all? Cassiopeia next to the two columns. That would be 11, right? Cassiopeia between the two columns with the sun and the moon. No, this is the Earth. So it looks like that would be either the Earth. I think that's the Earth and Venus. I'm not sure. All right. But anyway, um, still not the image that I want to show you guys. It's a very old image, and I guess they're saying they ain't gonna tell. Mm. Oh yeah. Oh well. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look in an old astrotheology book in order to show y'all. Okay. Wait a minute. Let me check in the astrology. I don't think it might be in the astrology in the Old Testament. Hold on, let me see. See, in order to do this work, scholars, it takes patience and persistence. All right, it takes a lot of patience and a lot of persistence, and but that's I guess that's the way it is with anything else. Right? Cassiopeia. I think I know which book it's in already. Yeah, it's not in this one. Hold on. You know what it's in? I think it's in the Gospel. I think it's in the Gospel and the Stars. It's in the Gospel and the Stars, and I don't have that with me right now. So I will, maybe tonight, within the next couple hours, I'll take a picture of it and post it on the community post. All right, so y'all can see it. In 1 second. What you're gonna find is that they just plagiarized everything from the circumpolar zodiac, and they just remixed it into the solar, remixed it into mythologies, remixed it into planets. Okay, and then of course remix it into the dogmatic religions. Uh, so here's a remix of Isis and her son Horus. Okay, this is again is I'll show you the cover of the book. You can see the page number. Y'all can pause it and replay it. I'll pause it rather and read through it. I think it's self-explanatory. So this is Isis and Horus. Isis gets remixed into the Mother Mary. Horus gets remixed into Jesus. Okay. Hold on. Yeah, I don't see Cassiopeia. Well, oh, you know what? I just thought of something. I want to show y'all some images that I went over yesterday on YouTube about the Great Mother Typhoon, Noble Drew Ali carrying her in his arms. There were some other things I saw in that image. I want to bring it to your attention. Maybe I'll do a separate video on that. Yeah, hold on, y'all. No, I'm gonna do it in this video. Maybe I'll do a separate one also. Yeah, I don't see Cassiopeia here. I could probably, you know what? I could probably find the PDF. Let me see how if I can do this really quickly. If I can find it really quickly, I'll show it, y'all. Hold on, okay? All right, y'all. Let me do it. Let me. What is it? I think it's in the Gospels and the Stars. No, the Gospel and the Zodiac, something like that. Yeah, by Bill Darlington. Yeah, that's it. So let me see, y'all. What is this? First time I ever got that. Downloading. Oh shoot. Oh man, the Gospel and the Zodiac. All right. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me open it up. So let me flip through this really quickly. If it's gonna open. All right. So hold on. Huh. I don't know what happened. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. Where's the download? So I downloaded it, but now I don't see it. Hold on. All right. So let's see if this is it. But... Huh. Oh my gosh. Well, well, I don't have it. That was weird. Hold on, y'all. One second. All right, it's downloading. So let me try it again. Okay, so let's continue. Page 155. So we also have to remember. So the only satisfactory ethnological, so ethnological designation for a people like the Hebrews. Of course, the Hebrews, y'all. What he's talking about is not a people. He's talking about a religion. Okay. So the only ethnological designation for a people like the Hebrews must be derived or have its origin from a religion. There you have it. A religion that had its rootage in mythology. It traces all the way back to the circumpolar zodiac, okay, with the Great Mother Typhoon being remixed uh, as YHWH and her son Soot her son Sut being remixed into the Messiah or the coming one. Okay, y'all? Or the coming one. And of course, is re Moses is uh, uh, Moses is Aries after the overthrow of the Great Mother Typhoon. Okay, y'all? So this is what he's talking about. In a certain sense, the Israelites never were in the terrestrial Egypt. The children of Israel, that's Isis, Ra, and El, okay, were the sons of the early astrological mother. See y'all here? The children of Israel were the sons of the early astrological mythology of the mother. That's the Great Mother Typhoon. And were the 7 stars. So the children of Israel were the 7 stars that make up the Great Bear, the thigh of the Great Bear, or today called the Big Dipper, whose leader was her son. Her son was Sut. Sut becomes planetarized as Saturn, and Saturn becomes the tribal god of the Jews, a religion, not a people, a religion. Hold on. So that's the thing we have to keep in mind. It's a religion. Judaism, that's a religion. All right, I got it. So let me see if I can scan through and find Cassiopeia really quickly. It's been so long since I looked at this. I know I remember the image. I just don't remember. Oh, I don't remember what page. Oh, wow. All right. Okay. Yeah. Oh, shoot. I'm glad I opened this up. Hmm. I might teach this book again. This was a very, very educational book here. So here's Moses, y'all, with the horns. People think the horns are representing the devil. It's actually ram's horn representing Aries, where Moses brought the Israelites completely 100% into the solar mindset, okay, into the solar cosmology and solar religion mindset. Okay, I went through that a couple videos ago. 1 second. There's some good stuff in this book, and this book is very easy to understand too. So that's the other good thing about it. Is it this one where Cassiopeia is? Hold on, y'all. He's got some good images too. Ah, here's a good one. Here's a zodiacal man. I remember this one solarite astrologist left me kind of like a gotcha comment because she had never seen Aries representing the head of a man. All right, so here again is where I got that information. Okay, so you see each body part. You see the anatomical areas of a man. Uh oh. The zodiac, the 12 constellations of the zodiac represent a specific anatomical part of a man. Y'all see it? That's where I got that info from. All right. So, okay, so my memory was not correct. She doesn't have a child. So here's Cassiopeia. So the mythology says she's searching for her daughter. Okay, so my memory failed me on this one. Here's Cassiopeia. If I see it. As a matter of fact, let me read through this just to refresh my memory. Okay, this is what it reads, y'all. The mythological Cassiopeia was the wife of Cephas and the mother of Andromeda. Okay, so that was her daughter, yeah, who drowns and she's trying to rescue her daughter, whom Perseus had married after releasing her from the rock to which she had been chained by the sea god Poseidon. Cassiopeia was eventually translated to the sky. She was eventually translated to the sky by her enemies, the sea nymphs, but because of her vanity and arrogance, was placed so close to the pole, that would be the North Pole, that she appears to be lying prone. As Milton has it, okay, let me skip that. Okay, so it goes on to say she's no longer sitting comfortably on her throne, but heading but headlong plunges like a diver. The Romans called the constellation Muller Sadis, the woman of the chair. So this is getting into Mark's text. Hold on, y'all. I'm curious now. Y'all have to bear with me now. I'm curious. Mark's text says that Jesus and his apostles went to visit Simon's mother-in-law. But Matthew's gospel uses Simon's other name, Peter. And Peter, of course, means rock. The woman was, quote unquote, reclining. The Greek word is katakito, a word used for reclining, reclining at the meal table. I know where this is going now. In the grip of a high fever, Jesus curses her. Jesus curses her. Jesus cures her, rather. Jesus cures her with the word and the touch, and she gets up and waits upon them. The mother of the one chained or married, right? Chained, same, married to the rock, who is Peter, is Cassiopeia, the reclining woman. Cassiopeia's husband is Cephas, and her daughter is Andromeda, names which are hinted at in the names of Andrew and Cephas, blah 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 blah. Okay, y'all. So my memory failed me on that one, but now we have the correct information. Okay. So anyway, let's continue back on page 155. But the key point on page 155 is that the children of Israel are the seven stars that make up the thigh of the Great Bear, which is today the Big Dipper. And you must remember that the second star in the handle of the Big Dipper, or the second star in the tail of the Great Bear, is Mitzar. Is Mitzar, where the autochthonous men and women come from. Okay, where we come from. All right. So the author here is saying that they are quote unquote Israelites. All right. The Jews are said to be a racial remnant. So we can already scratch that, because there's no such thing as a race, right? And Jews, there's no such thing as a Jew. Okay. It's a religion that came shortly after or toward the end of Babylonian captivity, if you believe the story. The Jews are said to be a racial remnant from the Golden Age. The Golden Age in mythology was that of Sut Nub. Sut Nub, so that's the Great Mother Typhoon's first son, or the Typhonian period. Did y'all get that? So the Golden Age is Sabian time. The circumpolar zodiac is called the Golden Age. The Jews, listen, y'all, the Jews are said to be Sabian. The Jews are said to be a racial remnant from the Golden Age. The Golden Age in mythology was that of Sutneb, or the Typhonian period. The Jews came from the northern part of Ethiopia. So whenever you see northern, north, you should already make the connection to the North Celestial Pole. All right, crossing the deserts, and seem to have been builders of pyramids. Y'all, think about this. Uh, as above, so below. As below, so above. So if I can find an image, I have an image of a pyramid made of sun rays. It's coming through the clouds. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this image again. Let's see if I can get the image again. Hold on. It's a really great image too. It was a perfect pyramid. Let me see. No, that's not good enough. Hold on. 1 second. Still not good enough. There's an image of the sunlight coming through the cloud, forming a perfect pyramid, y'all. Absolutely perfect pyramid. Oh man. Man, there's a mosquito in here that's tearing me up. Yeah, well, for whatever reason, I'm only getting graphics and it's not returning the search results that I'm looking for. Well, anyway, we'll come back to it. So let's keep going, yo. Let's keep going. So the Jews came from the northern part of Ethiopia, crossing the deserts, and seem to have been builders of pyramids, which is perhaps an evidence of their Egyptian origin. On the plains of Africa, there are remnants of pyramids undiscovered, save by the wild tribes. I'm not going to even get into that, who regarded them as holy, the foundations of which will one day be laid bare. So I think the whole world probably already knows now that there are more pyramids in the Americas by the tens of thousands compared to the pyramids that are in Africa. Okay, and this business about wild tribes, well, these so-called wild tribes are people who got pushed into the forest trying to escape the colonizers, and they adapted a lifestyle uh, of living in the forest. Um, but that's only since colonization. Okay, that's only since colonization. But anyway, Let's continue. Let's continue. So we also know that Africa is America. The Phoenicians, whose kings were the Hyksos, according to the tradition of Menethod, he was a famous astrologer, were identified with the Shusenhar, Shusenhar, who had rootage in Egypt. So these were Egyptians, Kemetic people. I should say Kemetic people, right? Extending to pre-monumental times. So the Shusenhar were Sabian. These were original autochthonous men and women. They were called Israelites and belonged to the Typhonian or celestial religion. So he's saying that they had the mindset of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, which is Circle 7, Clock of Destiny, celestial time cycles, natural law, don't steal, don't harm anyone, the workshop of the mind. Did I miss anything, y'all? So Sabian time, all right. He's saying that these who the Israelites are, for you Hebrew Israelites, also for you blacks and Mexicans and Latinos and anybody else. All right. They returned from their wanderings under the leadership of their priest and fell into captivity. And fell into captivity. So he's talking about captivity in Egypt. In other words, their own brothers. Contrary to the story in the Bible, this author is saying that their own brothers, because all of them were Kemites, they're just different families or different nations, but all autochthonous, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7 warns. All right? And their own family wanted to steal their stuff. That's all it's saying. Their own family wanted to steal their property, their birthright. Okay, that's it. When Moses led them forth, they were briefly rewarded for their services. Now, at this time, y'all, the Solarites had already taken over. The Solarites had been in power for more than 1,000 years or more. Okay, but it had not fully taken grip over the whole world. All right, so the Israelites were still in the minds of their ancient foremothers and forefathers, which is why they made that golden calf. So I know this sounds strange to most people, but you just have to learn what's happening. All right. So anyway, let's continue. When Moses led them forth, so this would be the Exodus, they were briefly rewarded for their services. So what was the reward, y'all? But their true destiny will be world leadership at the end of the reign of justice. So that brief reward was the promised land in the biblical story. Okay. Which will precede the Capricornian era. And Moses will be the lawgiver in this coming age, of which all learned Jews have foreknowledge. Now, y'all understand the uh, dogma, the dogma of the Zionist? You should understand the dogma of the Zionist now. So Capricornian era, this would be the zodiacal age of Capricorn. At the end of the reign of justice. So Jesus is referred to as justice, right? So are they talking about the end of the reign of at the end of the zodiacal age of Pisces, which will precede, come before the Capricornian era? I have to think about that because something doesn't sound right. Something sounds suspicious with this, y'all. But anyway, I'll come back to it. Okay, but notice what it says, which all learned Jews have foreknowledge. Okay, so this would be the secret society members. It ain't talking about the Jews who like the Orthodox Jews walking up and down the street, unless they are in the upper degrees of the secret societies, upper degrees of Freemasonry, for example, upper degrees of Knights Templar, upper degrees of what's the other one? Well, there are so many secret societies, but y'all get the point. Y'all get the point. The learned ones. Okay. So the world serpent is typified in the zodiacal age. Let me repeat that. The world serpent is typified in the zodiacal sign Scorpio. Okay, Scorpio. And the heavenly serpent is that of Capricorn. So the physical world, the way I'm understanding this, the physical world serpent is Scorpio, but the celestial serpent is Capricorn. Okay, so the physical world, in the world of physics, flesh and blood, the serpent is symbolized by the serpent is Capricorn. Okay, and the heavenly serpent. Let me state that again. Disregard that. In the world of physics, flesh and blood, matter, the serpent or Scorpio is symbolized as a serpent. Okay? But celestially, Capricorn is symbolized by a serpent. That's what I wanted to say. The Jews are represented by the sign Capricorn. Well, guess what house rules Capricorn? Saturn. So the Jews are represented by the sign Capricorn. The Jewish serpent worship was a priestly rite performed in the service in the synagogue, and the Jewish priests were supposed to heal the sick with the serpent power. Do y'all understand? So when you hear people talk about serpents, a serpent is a reptile. So when you hear people talk about the reptilians, when you hear people talk about the reptilians, they're talking about who? Using the vocabulary here, they're talking about the Jewish serpent people. The Jewish serpent worship was a priestly rite performed in the service in the synagogue, and the Jewish priests were supposed to heal the sick with the serpent power. And of course, the great mother Typhoon is also pictured as a serpent, right, y'all? The Egyptians grew up in the essence of the light, of which the Jewish people had knowledge. So, what is the essence? The essence of the light is darkness. Okay, so if you remove the darkness, there's no light. So the Egyptians, the Kemetic people, grew up. The Israelites, ISIS, y'all know what I'm talking about. Let me state that differently. The Sabian Moors, who are often called Israelites, grew up in the essence of the light, of which the Jewish people had knowledge. When the Jews returned from their wandering, their leader Moses, who was an Egyptian, knew they were the people destined to rule the world in a later cycle. What kind of cycle? A later solar zodiac cycle. Okay? A later zodiac cycle. Moses was educated, as Manetho tells us, in the temple of the sun, in the city of the sun. The city of the sun is On. In Greek, it's the Heliopolis. He was a great Egyptian priest and knew that the Israelites or Jews would rule at the culmination of the present age of justice. So he's in the present age of justice. This is Pisces. Think about that, y'all. He's saying that the religious Jews knew that the Israelites would rule at the end of the age of Pisces. And he knew he would return in that period. So here, the Messiah is a coming one. The Messiah is coming back, right? Well, the Son is coming back, a coming one. And he knew he would return in that period. So Moses is a coming one. And as a world leader, give forth the real justice of the Mosaic power under the new polarity. So each zodiacal age under the solar right system, y'all, under the solar right system, each zodiacal age brings in a new God and a new set of dogmatic religious beliefs. This is what the author is talking about. This is the new polarity, a new religion, a new dogmatic religion. All right. All right. So this new polarity is a new zodiacal age and a new solar religion to go with it, which will not manifest in its entirely before the new axial progress shall be established. So axial progress, I think he's talking about, let me look it up, but I think he's talking about the procession of the equinox, which would mean the transition from one zodiacal age to another. Uh, but let me look it up, y'all. Axial progress. Axial progression. Let me put in astrology. Oh, I gotta go, y'all. Hold on. Progression is, as its name implies, astrological projection. A progression involves a method of progressing the horoscope forward from. Ooh, that's right. Hold on. Yeah, shoot. Okay, astrological progressions are one of the main means used in horoscope astrology to forecast future trends and developments. The other means, the other means is transits, which are simply the ongoing movements of the planets across the sky. As its name implies, astrological progression involves um, uh, a method of progressing the horoscope forward from the moment of birth or beginning of the subject in the future, and is most usually done for the birth or natal chart of the particular individual. There are two main forms of progression: secondary progression, a day for a year, a day for a year. Let me see. Uh, and solar arc direction, a degree for a year progression. In both systems, the planets, ascendant and midheaven, are all seen to have changed position in the progress chart. And these changes are okay. So this is talking about a birth chart, y'all. So my bad, I'm wrong again. Okay. So, but that makes sense because the coming one and then the birth chart. So where are we? So you can clearly see I don't know everything. All right. Let's see. So where are we? But it makes sense, right? The coming one, he's coming. Check the birth charts, right? Saturn would be heavily involved in the birth charts of the autochthonous Moors. That makes total sense. All right. But anyway, let's keep going. Uh, and he knew that Moses knew he would return in that period, okay, the coming one, and as a world leader, give forth the real justice of the Mosaic power under the new polarity, the new religion, and the new zodiacal age, which will not manifest in its entirety before the new axial progress shall be established. That still sounds like progression of the equinox. But anyway, let's keep going. At that period, the planet Saturn, their ruling planet, the Jews' ruling planet, right? The God of the Jews, and the ruler of the sign Capricorn, so the strong house of Capricorn, will come to the conjunction of the unseen planet. So, what's the unseen planet, y'all? Capricorn is service justified in evolution. Okay, Capricorn sends you lessons. Okay, the evolution would be the development of your character. Okay, page 156, continue. Among the various names given in celestial allegory to the Sabian birthplace were the Egyptian Mitzrayim and Mazaroth names originally in the heavens above that were later applied to the Egypt below. So this is the star Mitzar, the second star in the tail of the Great Bear. Of course, today that's called the Big Dipper. Do y'all get it? All right. Among the various names given to the celestial allegory, the Sabian birthplace. So the autochthonous men and women have their origin in Mitzrayim and Mazarah, which have their origin or they are derived from the word Mitzar, the second star in the handle of the Great Bear. Everybody see that? So, according to the author, the Israelites are Sabian and celestial. So, y'all go back and watch the video I think I did before, maybe 2 videos ago, where I talk more about that and relate to talk about the civic relationship of that. All right, the maximum law associated with that. So, the star Mitzar in the constellation, the Great Bear, gives its name to the celestial Mitzrayim, which with Mazaroth which Mazaroth belonged to the primal Sabian birthplace. Of course, Mazaroth was remixed into the belt around which each of the 12 zodiac signs are oriented, right, y'all? In the solar zodiac. They just took the concept and remixed it. Do y'all see it? Mazaroth, Zoad, from Zoad, okay, etc., etc., etc. The first circle evolved by this constellation, that's the Great Bear, today called the Big Dipper, and its 7 stars, was divided into 10 degrees or 10 divisions. Y'all got that? So a degree equals a division. So let me say it again. The first circle, circle 7, the first circle evolved by this constellation and its 7 stars, was divided into 10 degrees or 10 divisions of heaven or 10 tribes, as in the 10 tribes of Israel. So the Great Mother is what? The mother of revolutions, the mother of time cycle. So that first cycle of time, it's about 26,000 years, was divided into 10 degrees. 10 degrees is the same as 10 divisions, is the same as 10 tribes. And then those 10 degrees, which are 10 divisions, which are 10 tribes, were again divided into 70. Y'all got it? From this, we have the earliest knowledge of the 10 tribes of Israel, which were purely Typhonian, purely Sabian, y'all, and were ruled, listen, and were ruled over by the 7 stars of this constellation. Y'all got that? The 10 tribes of Israel were ruled over by the 7 stars of the constellation today called the Big Dipper. These seven stars, 10 and 70, were primarily celestial before they were associated with the gnomes of the Egypt below. Okay, so it happens celestially first, and then it happens on Earth or in the world of physics. Okay, y'all? The name astronomy comes from astronome, or the arrangement of the stars into gnomes, constellations, or divisions, from which originated the first celestial chart, with its naming and gnoming afterwards adopted in many lands. So this is why astrology is global. Everywhere there's astrology. All over every place on earth there's astrology. And it's basically the same. Okay. Therefore, Mitzrayim and Mazarah are the truth tellers forevermore of the early Egypt. Y'all got that? Mitzrayim and Mazarah are the truth tellers. So that would be Mitzar, right? The star Mitzar are the truth tellers. Moses also said, "Here I call heaven and earth as witnesses against you." I think that's Deuteronomy 30. Okay? And her astrological measurements, Mazzaroth means the fires of heaven or the lights. Y'all got that? Mitzrayim, Mazzaroth, Mitzar. Mazzaroth means fires of heaven or lights. And the first gnome, the first constellation, the first gnome was given to the dog star Sirius. Paradise, the early garden, was also one of the earliest gnomes. So Paradise, of course, is the Garden of Eden, which is in the North Celestial Pole, and Sirius, the dog star, is in the South Celestial Pole. So there we have the clock of destiny. All right. In the 10th chapter of Genesis, the 7 sons that came forth from Mitzrayim are given. So the 7 sons who came forth from Mitzrayim are what? Celestially would be the 7 stars that make up the Great Bear. These 7 appear under various names in every ancient mythology and are always the 7 stars of the constellation of the Great Bear. From this first Sabian circle of 7, from this first Sabian circle of 7. Circle 7, y'all, like the Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave us and told us, circle 7. Okay, so from this first Sabian circle of 7, called the heaven of the Elohim, came the division into 10, the subdivisions of which created the 70 degrees or 70 nations that were anterior to the solar, that means came before the solar cycle or came before solar time or came before the solar zodiac with its solar religions. Okay? So let me do that again. From the first Sabian circle of seven, called the heaven of the Elohim. Y'all got that? So circle seven is called the heaven of the Elohim. Circle seven is the heaven of the Elohim. Came the division into 10. The subdivisions of which created the 70 degrees or nations that were anterior to the solar cycle of the 12 signs of the zodiac. They came before. These 70 nations came before there ever was a solar zodiac with its solar religions. Y'all got that? Simple enough, right? In rabbinical lore, the earth was divided into 7 climates. In every climate, into 10 parts. So here we see the same story. See, as above, so below. Okay? That's all they're doing. Quote unquote. These were the 70 nations divided among 70 princes, and the blessed God taking no part in them, because he is pure, wherefore they are not the children of his image, nor bear any resemblance of him. But Jacob is the portion of his inheritance. So you see, I'm going to just tell you what my instinct tells me. My instinct tells me is that this is BS. These are Bible, these are editors coming in and creating division, conquest through division, divide and conquer. Y'all hear me? In other words, the solar rights are coming. The solar rights are coming in here. Jeremiah 8:8. They edited this because there is no external God. Okay, there is no external God. So if you understand that there is no external God, there is the Hermetic law of mentalism. There is the workshop of the mind. And those of us who are autochthonous men and women, autochthonous Moors, Sabian, original people of the earth, we are the Elohim. So you should be, if you understand these things, you should be able to look at this and see that it's BS. It's divide and conquer. Okay, it's Jeremiah 8:8. You should be able to see it if you've been following my word. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. So I got about 10 minutes and then I have to finish up. All right, so here we go. Let's continue. In the Hebrew version, there were 10 generations or patriarchs who followed the seven. So this is coming from the Table of Nations, y'all, in Genesis chapter 10 or 11, who were again followed by the 70. So followed by 70 generations between the deluge, between the great flood, and Abraham. Okay, y'all? Between the deluge, the flood of Noah's day, and Abraham. And they certainly coincided with the celestial allegory. All right. And, I've come to question, everything, especially about the solar zodiac, the alignments and the correlations, the celestial allegories. I question all of these things, the truthfulness of them, okay, the accuracy of them. All right, because it's a hoax. It's a hoax. The real zodiac is the solar zodiac, the Sabian zodiac. Okay, y'all. Atlantis was an immense island beyond the Pillars of Hercules. It was said to be governed by Neptune, who had 10 sons, to each of whom he gave a portion, or 1/10, of the island. His eldest son, called Atlas, from whom the island was named. It had been an island of peace, plenty, and harmony. So that would be Iu-Im-Hept. Remember from the beginning? Because, listen, uh, but the people degenerated. And finally, Atlantis disappeared because of the earthquake and deluge. Now, there's a footnote. Footnote 1 reads, quote unquote, Atlantis is the fourth continent. The famous island of Plato of that name was but a fragment of this great continent. Since the destruction of Atlantis, the face of the earth has changed more than once. The last serious change occurred 12,000 years ago. Well, 12,000, now I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. Why? Because 12 constellations, 12 apostles, this is clearly uh, zodiacal, okay? And was followed by the submersion of Plato's little Atlantic island, which he calls Atlantis, after the parent continent. Huh. So little and big, I'm thinking Great Bear and Little and Lesser Bear, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, Big Dipper, Little Dipper. That's what it's sounding like. Okay, as above, so below. As below, so above. Geography was part of the mysteries in days old, says the Zohar, quote unquote. The secrets, in parentheses, it says, of land and sea. So the secrets regarding the land and the sea were divulged to men of secret science, but not to the geographers. Oh, so this is a quote coming from Madame Blavatsky. Okay, Blavatsky, HP, Preliminary Notes, The Secret Doctrine, Volume 2, page 8 and 9. Oh, isn't that interesting? What's 8 times 9, y'all? Is it 72? Let me check. I haven't done math in a long time. But you should have an idea of what I'm getting at, right? Let me get my calculator. 8 times 9. Hold on. So I put 8 times 9 is 72. So the 72 is 70, y'all. The 72 is 70. I'm not going to explain that, but 72 is 70. Y'all going to have, because I have to go, y'all going to have to figure that out on your, but it's actually not hard to figure out. It's actually quite straightforward and simple. So what am I talking about? 8 times 9. It's on page. Y'all, I mean, y'all make. You can do whatever. This quotation was on page 8 and 9. 72. 72 is exactly what we're talking about. The 70 nations, the 72. This is exactly the topic that we're talking about. See, in my opinion, these are signposts for those who know, or for those who are being taught uh, these secret sciences. The 10 divisions, the 10 sons coincide with the Hebrew 10 divisions. And they were 10 races of men. No such thing as races, right? Mentioned in the Persian Bandahish. So now we know we're deep into the Solarite system. And this is Yaqub. This is Yaqub's work, okay? Talking about races, which preceded the Chaldean. But Egypt tells us of no similar legend. Y'all got that? Egypt doesn't have a similar legend. Their knowledge of the deluge belonged to the cycles of time. There were 2 lists of patriarchs who preceded the flood called that of Noah. There were 7 names in one list and 10 names in the other list. Wherefore, the number of nations into which the new earth was arranged was 72, representing the duodecans of the solar zodiac, which superseded the 7, the 10, and the 70. Let me see, y'all. Uh, Underline this so y'all can see it yourself. All right. So there's your 72. And here, I didn't even have to teach it to you. Here it is right here, 72. Okay, y'all? And we're on the topic of the generations of the nations and how Israel uh, becomes set apart, and everybody else, all the other peoples, become animals and herds, goyim and sheep, only good to be put in bondage and forced labor and taxed. Okay, y'all? The covenant of Abraham follows the flood, ending the first period of the 10 patriarchs. The bow, or the circle in the heavens, was one witness of this covenant, the rainbow, connected with the zodiac, and the circumcision was the other. So this is describing, y'all, how the Solarites, additional information as to how the Solarites uh, destroyed the mindset. Or let me rephrase that. How the Solarites brainwashed people. This is part of the brainwashing story. They just made stuff up. All right. So this is the mythology they created. Okay, which was different from that of the Egyptians or the ancient Sabians. See, our knowledge of the same story belonged to the time cycles. Did y'all see it? So everyone see it? So y'all should really pause this on the replay and read it. All right. I hope y'all can see that. You see, they deviated from what the ancient Kemetic people said, the Sabian Moors. They just made their own stuff up, y'all, using the story, using our story as the basis of their story, and they just made stuff up. So hold on. So we're gonna do one more paragraph, finish page 158, and then we're gonna call it a day. Okay, y'all? I don't remember where I stopped. All right. So the covenant of Abraham followed the flood. I already read that. Okay, last paragraph on page 158. On the two list of the names of the patriarchs that preceded the flood of Noah, the first seven are Adam. So the first seven are Adam, Cain, Hanak, Jared, Enos, Cunan, Mahaliel, Jared, Hanak, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. These are commonly called the Elohistic and Jehovistic records, and are two forms of the Hebrew generations given in one of the creation legends. That means I got to read the next paragraph on page 159. The patriarchs were sidereal, cosmic, and numerical symbols and signs. Y'all got that? The patriarchs were sidereal, cosmic, and numerical symbols and signs. Volney in his ruins frankly says, quote unquote, all pretended personages from Adam to Abraham and his father Terah were mythological beings, stars, constellations, and countries. Patriarchs of Vedic origin were the earliest known and were accepted emblematically as representations of different signs of the zodiac by Christians as well as by so-called heathens. Now, you know, when they say heathens, they're talking about us, y'all, the Sabians. Fundamentally, the patriarchs were spiritual as well as physical types of evolution. So we know that they were not types of evolution because there's no such thing as evolution, belonging to all the ages. Deuteronomy 33, isn't that interesting? Deuteronomy 33, 3 plus 3 is 6. Deuteronomy 33 is an astronomical chapter of the Biblioheliothex describing the 12 tribes of Israel to be the 12 signs of the zodiac. Contemporaneously, Jacob became the father or the sun, son, capital God, of the 12 signs. That's a very good paragraph. Hold on. Let me see. Should I continue? So let's do this other paragraph. In Deuteronomy 32, verse 8 and 9, it is written, quote unquote, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. In the Septuagint, the text reads, according to the number of the angels. Now we know angels are angles of light, right? These were the mythological Israelites, later brought down to earth as a race of human beings. So human beings would be what? Human Hanuman. So the Yaqub story, the Elohim, the Sabi, and more being mixed with the chimpanzee and being brought down, Hanuman, and the capital God of the descendant of these children of Israel was YHWH, the Tetragrammaton, deity of the seven stars. This is, of course, under the solar time. Okay, tribal deity of the Jews. That's religion, who were worshippers of the capital Lord, capital God of Sabaoth. Sabaoth, of course, is Sabbath, is Saturn. Sabaoth in planetary form was Saturn, the individualizer. See, the individualizer brings you lessons. The bridging planet, connecting the material, mortal side of man with his higher spiritual, immortal nature. Higher self and lower self, okay, y'all? Saturn regenerates through pain and suffering as he lifts the veil, revealing the great light beyond. Beyond his bridge lies the great enfolding love enveloped in the wondrous light of the world. So this has to do with what we talked about um, I think it's video number 10, 9 or 10, the Hermetic Law of Polarity. Okay, summer solstice, winter solstice, Christ, the devil, right? And then the bridge of Saturn provides you lessons. Okay, and then you can transmute up the, you can transmute from higher self, from lower self to higher self, and polarize through the lesser law of cosmic habit force. Polarize through cosmic habit force as the higher self or as the Christ, or you can remain the devil, right? You can remain as a lower self, uh, physical person, and you can continue receiving the curses. All right, the punishments for living out of harmony with nature, of course, which is the Hermetic law of rhythm. Uh, okay. The seven sons of the Egyptian god Ptah and the seven sons of Sidek, as well as many, many others, can be traced to the seven of the Great Bear. All right, y'all? Everything traces back to Sabian time. The seven spirits associated with this constellation, that's the Great Bear, are mentioned in the Egyptian ritual, quote unquote. These same are behind the constellation of the Thigh, which is Ursa Major, the Great Bear of the northern heaven. Okay, that's also the Garden of Eden, right? That's also Mount Meru, Mount Zion. They were appointed chiefs. They were appointed chiefs and given power over the seven constellations. The Persians later gave the constellations to planets. Did y'all hear that? The Persians later gave the constellations to planets. So, y'all, this begs the question, are the planets real? Or did the Solarites make it up? The 70 shepherds, princes or angels of the Kabbalah, who were said to appear on earth during the downfall of the Tower of Babel, were rulers of the 70 divisions. So there's a 70, okay? All 70 can be found in rabbinical writings under the names of shepherds, watchers, elders, and so forth. They all had common origin in celestial allegory or the phenomena of the heavens. And I'm going to stop right there. Assalamu alaikum, Islam to all, the more, Shalawama.